Most visions at the end of life come from people who have spent their whole lives seeing the world. But what happens when someone who has never seen anything begins describing light, colors, faces, angels? Tonight's story is one that researchers still talk about because it shouldn't have been possible, not medically, not logically. And yet, it happened. Hospitals are full of predictable sounds, monitors beeping, nurses moving from room to room, the soft rumble of carts rolling down linoleum floors. But in one quiet pediatric unit, things were different. A 9-year-old boy lay dying of congenital disease. His name is changed in the records, but we'll call him Matthew. Matthew had been blind since birth, not partially, not legally, but completely. He had never seen color, never seen the light of a lamp, never seen the outline of a human face. His world was touch, sound, temperature, and pure instinct. But in his final weeks, everything changed. Nurses noticed him turning his head toward empty corners, eyes moving beneath the closed lids as if tracking something crossing the room. He began smiling at nothing, reaching upward, whispering as if someone whispered back. And then he started describing the impossible. Here are some stories about what Matthew saw. Dr. Lerma recorded Matthew's case into the light. One afternoon, his mother sat beside him. Matthew said, "They're here." She asked, "Who, sweetheart?" "The angels," he answered. He spoke their names clearly, Gabby, No, and Rafi. He said they stood around his bed glowing. He said they held his hands. He said they told him he wasn't alone. His mother froze. This wasn't imagination, not from a child whose body was failing and whose mind was still sharp. Matthew didn't describe vague shapes or feelings. He described faces. He described light. And he described colors, things he had never, not once in his entire life, been able to see. Researchers are cautious. They don't take claims at face value. So when Matthew began describing what people were wearing in his hospital room, they tested him. His nurse came in one morning wearing a sky blue top and darker blue pants. Matthew turned his head toward her and said, "Your shirt is light. Your pants are darker." He had never learned the color visually. He had never been taught how to identify shades. He had no framework for sight, no memory of vision. Yet the description was perfect. Later, another staff member entered the room wearing a deep red sweater. Matthew smiled and said, "That color is warm." Red is described as warm even by sighted people. Yet Matthew had no visual reference and still used the correct sensory language. These weren't guesses. These were accurate visual observations from a child who had never seen anything in his life. Matthew also described the layout of his hospital room, where the window was, where the IV pole stood, where his mother moved when she cried, thinking he couldn't tell. He described hand motions nurses made while they spoke. He described a stuffed animal someone had placed on a chair in the corner, a toy he had never touched. Every detail verifiable, every statement correct. No hallucination theory, no oxygen deprivation explanation, no medication side effect could explain how congenitally blind child described a room with the accuracy of someone who had been seeing it for days, unless he was really seeing it, not just with his eyes. On his final morning, Matthew whispered, "They're taking me home today." His mother squeezed his hand. "What do you see?" "The light," he said. "It's like a warm sun. I can see everything." He lifted his arms, smiling, reaching towards someone only he could see, and then, peacefully, Matthew slipped away. The room went still. His mother cried, and the nurses, the same hardened hospice staff who had seen dozens of deaths, said the same thing. The moment he died, the room felt brighter, like something warm had filled the air. One nurse said it felt like someone opened a window to another world. Here are 3 creepy facts to haunt your day. Blind people almost never dream visually except near death. Studies show congenital blindness rarely includes visions in dreams. Near-death experiences break this rule completely, though. Some blind near-death experiences describe colors accurately, even shades like warm red and cold blue, which they had zero visual reference for. Vertical perception has been documented in surgical rooms. Patients with no heartbeat or brain activity have correctly identified tools, clothing colors, and conversations they shouldn't have been able to perceive. Matthew's story hits different. Most of the time, Skeptics argue that near death visions are the brain firing wildly, memories resurfacing, or imagination filling the blanks. But Matthew had no memories of sight, no stored colors, no images to pull from, no visual dreams. Blind people don't have them. So, where did his visitors come from? He described light, he described angels with detail, he described people's clothes, he described a room he'd never seen, and he wasn't scared. And that's the part that sticks with me. Whatever he saw made him feel safe, made him feel guided, and made him feel like someone was coming to take his hand and lead him home. If that doesn't challenge what we think we know about life and death, I don't know what will. Tonight, we followed a child who saw the world for the first time only in the hours before leaving it. Next time, we explore another kind of vision, not just images of light, but dreams that warn, prepare, or reveal the moment of passing before it happens. Dreams that don't fade, dreams that don't come true. Until then, stay curious and always, always stay haunted.